Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook, got Justin Wells, got Coach Dub, and it is another edition of Recruiting Intel. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on podcasts, go ahead and give us a 5-star rating and review. And if you're not a member of Inside Texas, head to InsideTexas.com, use promo code IT1, get yourself 2 months for just $1. It's July 2nd. That means by the time it's September 2nd, you will be through the first game, what will probably be a win over the Colorado State Rams, and you're going to love all the recruiting intel, the team info, and the post-game reaction that we provide. Gentlemen, we're done with official visit season. Kids are making their decisions. It's kitchen table time, as we've been talking, and we've even had a couple. Yesterday we had Smith Arogbo. Before that, some other ones that didn't go Texas way, but the Longhorns are starting to work on turning things around on the trail and solidify their 2025 class. Justin, it kind of stinks that it's always over July 4th weekend, but at the same time, this is always a fun time of year seeing the dominoes fall.
July 4th, I think some Texas fans are a little trigger shy of July 4th the last few years. Obviously, the Kelvin Banks recruitment was one of them, but, if you're a Texas fan, you really can't hold that against him any longer. The guy's going to be an early draft pick next year, so you won that one. But yeah, there's some PTSD with July 4th, and for good reason, because these kids, they don't care that it's a holiday. They don't care you're spending time with your family and your friends that you barely get to see because of this job. They got a recruitment that they got to get out. And so that's what we're here for. But I think this July started off really good yesterday when they added the number 3 edge, according to On3 and Smith Arogbo. They're trending really well with a few guys. We're going to talk about those guys today. A new name in there as well that we're pleasantly surprised to bring to you. And so hopefully July will tell a better month than the end of June did.
Yeah, without a doubt. Speaking of just this time of year, Coach, before, I guess, the year 2019, when all the official visits were either during the season or in the postseason in January, this was always vacation time for coaches, for us even. This is when the people in college football would take time off. Can't do that in June anymore, but what does this time kind of look like for coaches? Because I saw a picture of Joey McGuire out by the beach the other day, which kind of lets you know what maybe is going on in
that
Lubbock.
3-strap life.
Exactly, with their new deal. So what are coaches trying to do, whether it's spending time with family or trying to get people to join the family or mixing in a balance of both?
Yeah, I think it's a balance of both. Not every coach takes vacation in July at the same time. You might get some guys from offense go for 2 weeks, and then they'll switch and somebody from defense to go, and everybody gets to take a vacation except that support staff. They're probably in recruiting. They get a couple days off, but they're in office still working. Recruiting never stops. And then you can see coaches on the beach, but they're texting, they're reaching out to kids. Trust me. Still trying to secure people from everybody who came on official visits, trying to secure that 25 class. So they may be enjoying vacation. And the wife is probably giving them the side eye, like, put the phone down, but it's not happening. Trust me. So that's what coaches are doing right now. Either they're in the office or they're somewhere enjoying family, but still recruiting.
Well, we know one player that maybe Johnny Nansen, Pete Kwiatkowski, and Steve Sarkisian continues to talk to, and that is Riley Pettijohn, a top linebacker prospect from McKinney High School. This one seems to be a 4-horse race, and all 4 horses feel like they've got a good shot between Texas, Ohio State, USC, and A&M. Depending on where you go, you might find somebody talking about him having a different leader. But Charlie, what do you know about this recruitment as it comes down to the wire with him making a decision on July 6th?
Yeah, I feel like just talking to the family, they're really keeping it close to the vest, right? They really are. He wants to make this decision coming this weekend. I do know they're in the process of, letting schools and coaches know, hey, what his decision will be this coming weekend, which is pretty stand-up because most kids don't want to have that conversation, say, hey, I'm coming here or I'm not coming here. But, this could go either way. Coming down to the weekend, I think all 4 schools probably done a good job recruiting him and his family. And so I know they're sitting down to trying to make a decision on where he will be, playing his ball the next 3 to 4 years coming this weekend.
How difficult are those phone calls? Because not every prospect does it, and I think it is a credit to the Pettijohns and to Riley that he's going to call coaches and say, "Hey, I'm not coming." It's very difficult. So how tough is that? Not just for the kid, but even for the coaches themselves.
Yeah, that's tough. From a coach's point of view, you spend all this time recruiting a kid, getting to know him. You probably in your mind like, hey, I can see him in the class. You're already making plans of this is where he is on the board. This is how I plan to use him, and you're securing him like, hey, I got this guy in the bag, and then he lets you know he's not coming. Like, disappointing for a segment. It's like, hey, I got to move on and go find the next guy who maybe is close to him on the board, right, and put him in that slot. But for a kid, it's tough as well because, you know, all you ever dream about is getting scholarship offers and making it to a point. And then you build a relationship with coaches, and it's like, hey, I can see myself playing here. I can see myself playing, close to family. And then you may not choose that school, so you got to have a conversation and not only let the coach know, but let your parents know too at the same time. Like, hey, I don't want to go to this school. I want to go here. And it's a tough conversation to have, but it's also it just speaks to the character of each person who can actually have that conversation and maybe not feel a certain way about it. Like, hey, this is a business decision for me as well, and see it that way, and then make that decision. So it can be tough, but kudos to those who do it.
Justin, when we think about this linebacker class, they have a commitment from Elijah Barnes from Dallas Skyline. They want obviously Riley Pettijohn, but there's another name that's factoring in all this, and that's Madden Faraimo. It seems to be a Texas and Notre Dame battle, but the Longhorns, feel good about their chances there as well, and with Pettijohn, correct?
Yeah, in his second visit, that's where he took his official. They loved on him, they love on all these kids during their officials. But every weekend, there's 3 or 4 kids that they really hone in on. You can tell that are getting, the 4-star service type stuff, and that was Faraimo and his family, and for good reason. Him and Nansen and that family have a lot in common. And so, there's a lot of common ground there. But Notre Dame is the one to watch there. Notre Dame is the one that set the floor on this recruitment. They're the one that has established the standard. Because if he doesn't take that trip to Austin, I think he may already be in Notre Dame's class. Texas gave him something to think about. And we had talked about Johnny Nansen's going to get somebody big from the West Coast. We said it the first day he was hired, and we're going to say it again on July 2nd. Like, this guy is going to get somebody. We just didn't know exactly who. And when they really honed in on Barnes and Pettijohn, you didn't really know who was going to be that guy on the West Coast. They flirted with a handful of guys. I think the Mateo kid went to USC. But getting Faraimo in, now that's a recruitment. Now that's a battle. And so does it affect Pettijohn? Every Texas fan thinks one affects the other. They want both. It's not one or the other. They want both. Will they get both? Probably not. But they want both, and they're going to attack both. And if anything, I think Pettijohn is the house favorite. He's closer to home. They have known that kid for well over a year. His family's tremendous, and he's got little brothers that are going to be on the come up. Either way, I think with Faraimo, they're in a good spot there, as good as they can be right now. Now the key there is getting him back on campus. If they can get him back for that late July barbecue, that would be ginormous. If they could get him on campus for a few games early in the fall, that would be a big step as well. He's right now, I don't think he has a timeline or decision. I think he wants to decide before his senior year, but he's not strict to that right now. And so Texas is in the mix. They're shooting their shot with one of the best linebackers. Listen, if they can split between him or Pettijohn, that's a successful linebacker class in 2025.
We have experience seeing Pettijohn, seeing him in person. We know that he's a fantastic, just athlete, big, broad shoulder, can run. Obviously, it runs in the family. But I got to go to the airport and see Faraimo, and that is what a big dude looks like. Like, he is what you think of when you think middle linebacker. I need to kind of revisit his film to see how he moves, but just, kind of in the off the bus aspect, Faraimo fits the bill. Who else fits the bill? That's Laura Baker, part of the elite Andy Allen team in the Austin area. I think I always try to expand her region of sale, but from New Braunfels to Temple, Mason to LaGrange, give Laura Baker a call. She will help you just like she helped our Ian Boyd move down from Detroit to the Austin area. Give her a call, 512-784-0505, or email her, laura@andyallenteam.com. She will give you all the help that she can. We move on. What will the Texas tight end class look like? It's kind of taken some twists and turns. Obviously, they have Amari Winston committed from Calhoun, Georgia. He seemed to affirm his commitment on his official visit and speaking with him at the airport. Keati Armstrong committed to Texas A&M out of Jasper. We're recording this in the morning. Caleb Edwards decides today. All indications are that the El Dorado Hills product might be committing to Alabama. We'll see how that goes, or if it's already happened when this is published. That's another Alabama, but that may mean some positive news for Texas in the tight end front. And Justin on three, Steve Wiltfong kind of has echoed a lot of sentiments that we've posted on Inside Texas over the past few weeks, and that's that the Longhorns are really looking strong for Duquesne tight end Nick Townsend.
Yeah, if you read Inside Texas yesterday, Eric Nahlin had a quip about Townsend, and he's like, "Look, I love where Texas stands with this kid right now," and Townsend's kind of a fan favorite among the Texas faithful. Just a stereotypical gigantic big football player. Can play tight end, can play outside linebacker, could probably turn into an edge. Like this guy is just an old school guy. Wants to break bones and hurt you. And I know that personally because I've shook his hand, and it's similar to Adrian Peterson's. He certainly has a 5-star handshake, and that's a sign of a good man. No, Texas is trending really well there right now. That one's been sort of a roller coaster. I felt like in the last 6 months, we've had some ebbs and flows. A&M was looking great, Alabama was looking great, Texas was looking great. I think it's finally the worms kind of turned back to the horns right now, just because the dominoes for tight ends have been falling. And so right now, we love where Texas stands. Right now, if you go to InsideTexas.com, by the time this post, you're probably going to see a timeline story that Eric Nahlin puts out, and he's going to break down a little bit more about Nick Townsend and what he expects from a decision from him. And so that's big news, guys. Like if anything we talk about, to me, for today, that's the biggest news, because Nick Townsend is at a need position. I'm a big fan of Michael Terry, but he's not ready to play tight end in college. Calhoun is another Calhoun. Winston from Calhoun is a good take, but he's not ready to contribute. Nick Townsend gives me Jordan Washington vibes. He might be able to come in and play pretty early, and that room is looking more and more bare as you send guys to the NFL. And so, hey, to me, that's the biggest news of the day. Nick Townsend in Texas are trending nicely.
Coach, when you watch his film and see that he's a very talented two-way athlete, I think that he's very different stylistically from Jatavian Sanders, who played basically wide receiver and outside linebacker for those Denton Ryan teams. But you see Nick Townsend do some real tight end things on his film. What if you're a coach, or who do you think's fighting harder, the defensive side or the offensive side for Nick Townsend?
Man, I think both sides are fighting because he's multiple. He's so versatile. He can play both very well. But I mean, you put him at an offense and put him basically at the Y, kind of flex him out in 11 personnel or 12 personnel where you got two tight ends, somebody inline blocking, you put him out. You got a physical dude who can run, catch the ball, go 80 yards. Like, whatever you ask him to do, he can do. Like, I see an NFL tight end in this guy, honestly, man. He just has that kind of ability to me watching his film. So I can see him going on the offensive side of the ball, honestly. But he can do both very well. I just see him playing the Y or tight end position mostly at the next level.
The funny thing about Townsend in comparison to Jatavian Sanders, Townsend likes playing defense. JT, not so much. He wasn't the biggest fan of being in the edge. He likes scoring touchdowns. Townsend's one of those old school guys. You want that type of guy in your program. Absolutely.
Speaking of some other guys that project to offense, at least want to project to offense and likely do for the Longhorns. Coach, you put in a prediction the other day for San Antonio Alamo Heights athlete Michael Terry, a 5-star in On3's rankings and one of the best players in the country. Has a variety of suitors. He has Oregon, Nebraska, Texas A&M, and Texas. But so far, or just the other day, you put in a prediction that it'll head the Longhorns' way, along with Eric Nahlin joining his from earlier in June.
Yeah, definitely, man. I feel confident. Putting the RPM in. Man, Michael Terry is a phenomenal athlete, man. It's one that goes back to the old school recruiting. Like, you just find a way to get him on campus, and then you'll find a way to use him. Like, he's just that talented. Like, you want him in the class, you want him on your roster because you can do so many things with him. But I just felt so confident that he'll be in Austin, and as Coach Sark's offense, man, that guy's multiple. He's versatile. You can line him up pretty much anywhere, even in the backfield. He's gonna make the play. So as somebody who went on the field at Texas, he can do a lot of great things on the 40, and I feel like he'll be a Longhorn.
Justin, this recruitment, It's always seemed like Terry has really liked Texas, if not loved Texas. And you and I have
Yes.
talked to him about just how much affinity he has. Like he's one of those kids who grows up in Texas and watches Texas football and wants to be a
Right.
part of it. That matters some. But at this point, when you are a 5-star athlete, top programs in the country pursuing you, it's not just childhood love that gets you to the place you're at. They want to see how he's being used. He wants to see, what opportunities there are with the football in his hands or defending the football, that type of thing. And it seems like over the life of this recruitment, Texas has really shown him and made a very clear picture for what they want him to be if he chooses a burnt orange.
Yeah, I feel like it was Texas from the beginning, but he was adamant about playing offense, either running back or wide receiver. And I don't think Texas naturally envisioned him in that spot. So I think that's why, otherwise, this thing may have already been done. But I think that's kind of why there was a schism there. I think that's kind of why there was a lag where other programs started to make up ground. Texas A&M, Oregon, Nebraska, because of that little disconnect. They come in on the official visit, and Texas kind of resets the board and says, look, you can play offense, you can play defense, you can play whatever when you get here, but we're going to figure out the best spot. So don't worry so much about what side of the ball we see you on. Just get on campus, just become a part of the program, and we promise we will put you in the best possible position. I could see him flashing a little bit at tight end, some H-back. I could see him being phenomenal as an outside linebacker and edge, potentially a safety, a really big safety, like the size of Overshown type safety. But you said it. He's the number one athlete in the country. He's a 5-star prospect. That's what Sark's job is to do, is to stack talent on this roster year in and year out. That's what Terry does. I think that's why the Worms turned a little bit back towards Texas with Terry, because he got off of this idea that, well, I'm a running back or I'm a receiver, I have to score touchdowns. And Texas let him know, you can still do that. We just want to make sure that's the best spot for you. And don't forget, you could play in the NFL at a handful of these other positions. That OV, I think, really restructured this recruitment. And I love Charlie's info and intel yesterday. He's been all over this stuff. And that RPM was nice and tasty yesterday.
Very different as far as what they are.
I want to say one other thing. Let's not neglect this little tidbit. The Terrys are talking to Ryan Wingo's family. The Terrys have reached out to other Texas families, asking about the recruitment, asking about the program, asking about, just different little things. When that happened a few weeks ago, I felt like that is when Texas was starting to really put it into gear. So let's not forget that little tidbit. The Ryan Wingo is the gift that keeps on giving. The Terrys are leaning on the Wingos when it comes to a decision, and I think that in and of itself is another big plus for the Hornets.
There are some similarities, some differences between Terry and I think you look to Jelani McDonald. I think Jelani McDonald kind of understood that defense was going to be his destination, even though he played as a high school do-it-all quarterback. And Jelani McDonald, committed to Texas, maybe thinking I'll be playing linebacker, or Sam has started to get some more looks into the safety room. But even
who
so,
said he was a safety? Who said he was a safety? Oh, okay.
Somebody from Tyler. But at the same time, Jelani McDonald made a significant impact last year on special teams, running down on kickoffs, him and Trey Wisner. A few years before them, way back, I think in the 2020 season, Jaron Thompson, who's at Auburn, and Keaton Crawford, who's at Nevada, they made impacts on special teams. So those are the types of players that when you're trying to field championship level units on all three phases, you need those guys on special teams too. And yeah, it'll give you time to figure out what you're going to do on offense, defense. And, you don't commit to a school. It's like, yes, I get to be on kickoff, but schools look at you and are like, yes, we get to put him on kickoff and things like that. So
sometimes that's the quickest path to the field, Joe.
Exactly.
You remember that in the mid-2010s, those guys, Chris Boyd and Malik Jefferson and Holton Hill and all those, Devontae Davis, how'd they get on the field quick? Through special teams. And that's a lot of the team. That's a team set mentality when you want to pay your dues. Trey Wisner came in as a running back, slot receiver, scoring machine. After last year, he was the special teams kamikaze. It's whatever it takes to get on the field right now. And I think Sark is looking for like-minded prospects in that regard.
And even another example of a non-highly rated prospect, Michael Taft was on a bunch of different special teams before he started to crack the starting lineup. there's value not only for what Michael Terry can become on an offense, on a defense, but what he will be in just the raising of the talent floor on special teams that makes him a valuable addition to the roster, not just later on in his career, but early as well. So thank you guys. Thank everybody for watching. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on podcast, please give us a 5-star rating and review. If you're not a member yet, head to InsideTexas.com, use promo code IT1. Get yourself 2 months of Inside Texas access for just $1. Again, that will get you to September 2nd. So if you're there, you're already at Michigan game week. You're not going to want to miss anything else after that. Justin, Charlie, thank you all so much. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.